Live. Well, hi. Hi, it is the Allison Arngrim Show, and I'm Allison Arngrim, although some of you may possibly recognize me as Evil Nellie Olson from Little House on the Prairie. But tonight, I am Allison Arngrim, and this is the Allison Arngrim Show. And here on the Allison Arngrim Show, we talk about things that make you feel good. The TV shows and the movies that made us feel good, and the people who made them. And people who are doing things now to make the world a better and more interesting place. And I have one tonight. I always like to have on people that I know, and I was plugging this. I did a live today at once, where he was like jammering on, and yes, we've been plugging the whole thing because like the 50th anniversary of Little House on the Prairie is 2024. I know 50 years was I two when that I know how did that happen? So it's been a long time, and so we're having this huge thing, and so the whole cast we're all starting to hang out with each other and talk to each other, and people start turning up. People start turning up because they go, all these people on the show, there's children, the babies, where are all the babies? Why do we keep finding them? So, we've had Baby Grace. We had Baby Grace on the show. That was epic. Well, Baby Rose. There's a Baby Rose. Yes, yes. Adorable. And I have, yes, there's twins, or there were two Baby Roses. So there's two sets of twins. There's actually like four different human beings were involved. It's all terribly complicated. But I have with me the fabulous Jennifer Donati. This is also crazy. I've been telling people you're like one of our great new additions to our cast roundups. It's like, let's keep her. She's fun. We'll take her to everything.
I'll go.
So that's all Baby Rose has. So there's like the Baby Rose babies, the Baby Rose toddlers. If you're like way into the show and you watch the movie, it's all very complicated. And of course, everyone's played by twins. I think I'm like the only person who wasn't like played by twins. It's so I'm the only person who didn't have a relative on the show. I think that is true. I swear, it's like everyone had a relative. So you were twins, and you and your sister were twins. And how did you wind up on the show? And which Rose were you? Explain the insane family tree we're dealing with here.
So, I was the baby Rose. So when Laura first had Baby Rose brought out, that was me. My mom was friends with somebody who worked at Richmore Casting and knew that she had just had twins. I guess Laura had been pregnant forever, and they really needed to get this going. And they asked my mom, studios love twins. Would you like to come give it a try? And she just thought we'd do like a commercial or something. She was older. She had waited a long time to have kids. It was just for fun. And we got a full-time job on Little House. And it kind of just went on from there. We went and met Michael, and he held us, and I grabbed onto him like babies do, and that sold him. He didn't want to look any further. I don't know that there was a lot of selections because they had been waiting to put somebody in there. So.
And this happens a lot with the really young kids where someone knows someone, because sometimes, there are twins out there who they march in and audition sets of twins, but it's complicated. It's like, oh, we got to bring the babies in and we got to see them. So if someone calls and says, I have a set of twins and they're good with people and they're cute. And that's what happened with Baby Grace, with Brenda and Wendy, is their grandma, and it gets said, can we bring them in? They went, bring them in. They sound good. And so, yeah. So, and then if you find a set of twins and they're cute and they can like go without crying for 5.5 seconds and like be around, bam, you're in.
That easy.
Now, would you say, this always happens with twins, like one is more outgoing, one is the crier, one is the smiler. Did you have any of that when you were babies? You and your sister were like, I'm the crier,
So I ended up being diagnosed with ADD.
Really?
So as a baby, yes, my mom said there was a definite.
How did they know? Were you bad at math?
I started walking first. I was constantly busy and into things while my sister was sitting there quietly doing her thing, not getting into trouble. There's a story my mom used to tell about I would run from one end of the room to the other, smack the wall, turn around and run to the other till she started seeing the nails come out of the wall. So she was like, there was a clear difference between the two of us.
But you were like, Marty, that's amazing. It was like an athletic king. It was like, you run to the thing, like in gym, it smack the wall, run. That's how you were able to know that at a tiny age. That's kind of alarming, but yeah.
Yeah. I would think I was in kindergarten when they finally took me to the first grade, maybe. that they took me to the doctor and they were like, something's definitely different about this child. What's going on? And that's what it was. It's wore off a little bit.
So you were the wilder of the two babies a
It
bit.
was the active, yeah.
The wildly active one. Well, then that worked out. How long were you doing? Because it was towards the end of the show, and I remember. I mean, one of the reasons Laura Ingalls was pregnant forever, because I know I was pregnant forever too with Betty and Jenny, because we had the actors strike was right smack in the middle of that,
Oh,
and
that's
I know there was a whole thing where it's like, okay, you're pregnant, and then we don't shoot for like months. It was a strike in like '81 where it was as bad as this last one, and so we came. It's like, oh, you're still pregnant. It's like I've been pregnant a year and a half. And so it just like seemed to go on and on and on. It's like, I think we should do the birth episode. Yeah, we should just move that along. But everybody was pregnant for way more than 9 months on Little House. We were all elephants giving birth to babies. It took a year and a half to produce, apparently. Now, at that age, we're eating anything. You don't really have like live conscious memories of being
no.
set.
All of it's just growing up watching it in, the house, listening to family talk about it every time we got together. So I grew up always knowing about it and hearing about it, but I don't think anything I remember is actually things that I saw myself.
And did you do any work other than Little House? Because I know, yeah, the Grace twins didn't really. They did one commercial and then said, ugh.
No, my mom was so happy when they canceled the show that they well, she didn't want a full-time acting thing. Like all of a sudden she's
Right?
getting up 4 in the morning to take car came to get us and take us to wherever we were recording. And
Right?
she just wanted to be a mom. And so when they canceled the show, she didn't even want to come back and do the movies, which is where the
Wow.
Stephanie Girls came in. She
That's
was
when the
like,
Stephen girls came in.
yeah.
Right? Because it's a lot of work. It's a lot of work. People forget. I mean, I was very lucky. My Auntie Marion came with me to the set and it was great. She was retired and she could do that because my parents were like, working, got jobs. And so they didn't do that. It is so much work to get heading out to location, doing all the stuff and keeping up with the kids and the paperwork and the work permits and the thing. People who say, I think I'll stick my kids in show business have no clue. They have no idea.
She didn't. I don't think she did. No.
There's an enormous amount of work involved and they don't realize it. So yeah, so I can see why. Yeah, she said, well, that's totally enough of that. So now would you say as an adult you are relieved that you did not stay in show business and become like a regular TV child?
Well, when you look at most children actors, yes. But I've heard you say that all the kids from Little House ended up turning out pretty good. Um,
Yeah, it was a good show to be on. I always say it was kind of winning the lottery for a kid actor because we were treated very well. We were treated with respect. We were, very much held accountable. We had to work for it, but that was the thing. Is because of that we were treated like, yes, this is a serious job, and you kids got to do that. That seemed to be better for our mental health than whatever the heck they were doing on other shows, where they're just letting people run riot or being awful to them. So you see a lot less of the big craziness from the Little House gang than you've seen on, well, a lot of other shows. People go
a lot, yeah.
mad. It's a lot of pressure. So how do you think if you'd been like a child star, would that have been weird, or what do you think?
Now looking back, I wish that I had more to say and that I had gotten to do more. But even in high school, I was terrified that I was going to get put in drama class. It scared me to death. Now that I'm older, it doesn't bother me nearly as much. I've had a lot of jobs, public speaking, and I've gotten over that fear. But yeah, I was very concerned. I was looking for any other fine art to get into
Well,
besides.
we stuck you in a play. One of our Little House gatherings, we had a really weird, demented, crazy murder mystery evening. It was totally off the charts. And you were all dressed up. You looked fabulous. And you actually had to speak to people and like possibly, and a lot of people thought you were the killer.
Was it that bad?
Yeah.
Oh no.
You have this film noir thing going on with this dress and the hat. They kind of she
She's
clearly did
got to
it.
be the
It's got to be the killer. So yeah, so you had some knack apparently. Who knows? Now as a grown person have like a real job and an actual life. So
one.
explain to people what you actually do.
So I recently, in the last 5 years, became a heavy equipment operator. So
And
I
now
am
say heavy equipment. I mean, to me, anything bigger than a
okay.
blender
So
is heavy
yeah,
equipment. So what is it?
That would include dozers, skip loaders, skid steers, scrapers, blades. That one's a new one for me, but yeah, pretty much when I joined the union, they taught you how to run everything. So you didn't get to pick and choose. Whatever you got told to get on is what you got on, and so we got to learn all of
Learn to drive that. So, okay, people when Baby Rose drives a bulldozer now. Yes, indeed
it.
she does. And you and your husband both work in both are heavy equipment are in similar fields. You're working the same thing.
Yes, we both are operators. He mostly does paving, where I work in the dirt.
You
So
work in the dirt.
I work in the dirt. I do the dirt. Um, Paving, you have to work like 15, 16 hours a day. You're always in a new place, traveling all the time. Uh, in the dirt, it's a little different. You just work 8 hours, you go home, usually go to the same job for long periods of time. And for me, I like it better. He can't stand it. He likes the paving.
I love the idea that the bulldozer working the dirt. It's actually the easier gig, given the
It,
choice.
it really is. And it's dirt. If you mess it up, you do it again. If you mess up the asphalt, you're in a lot of trouble.
You're starting over from scratch. Yes,
Yeah.
that would be terrifying. And do you have kids?
I have one. My husband had five. They're
Pretty much.
all grown now. I have a 13-year-old daughter now, so
Wow.
one at home.
And I take she's not in show business, as we've noticed.
No, it's not as easy. I just got lucky, but it's not an easy thing to get into
Mhm.
if it's not the right time, it's not what they're looking for. I mean, you kind of have to just walk in right when they need that exact thing. Um, but I don't know. I never pursued it for her. She kicks me. Why didn't you make me a baby star?
Oh, God. But it is also a timing. I mean, good Lord, my thing was timing. They had Cass Lormer. They were doing a thing in Snake. Okay, now we need the town, and it was like, okay, hurry, we need to go corral up Doc Baker and Miss Beadle in the whole town. And I walked in and went, well, and there's Nellie. Okay, good. We'd had her in. We know who she is to bring her. Poof. So yes, it's being in a lot of show business is being in the right place at the right time, which when you're a child isn't really something you can like comprehend or do. It's not like a normal thing.
No, I
Now
agree.
you've been corralled into our fabulous Prairie family with all of our little outings. But you found it. You tracked us down and you found us in Bakersfield of all places.
I did. I had tried, growing up, always knowing about it. I always wanted to meet Shannon Dorn. Um, but I could never find her. I reached out to Melissa Gilbert on Facebook Messenger. Now I realize nobody reads those.
Yeah,
Um,
and how many billions? Right? Yeah, you're getting a billion messages on Facebook you can't
I
read.
can't read them
Right.
all.
Right.
Uh,
It's
so I kind of whatever, okay, I'll just never. Maybe I'll never. I always wanted to be on that show. Where are they now?
right.
Do you remember that show?
I think I was on it like 10 times. I was like, where
Ah,
is she? Where is she?
well, how come nobody's looking for me? Uh, but my husband saw a Facebook post that they were coming to Bakersfield, and I'm like, oh my God,
No
like
way.
if you're gonna go see them, this is your chance.
They're there, and a whole bunch. I did not go. I weirdly I had something else to do, and I did not go. I had to go to a play, so I was not at the Bakersfield thing.
Your
But
poster
Dean
was
Butler and half the gang were.
they were. So I went and there wasn't really a line for that one. It was a weird one. It was a Comic-Con.
Yeah, I heard it was really weird and spread out. And people was like, there weren't a lot of people there.
No.
Bakersfield, they were like, oh, this is going to be huge. It's all going to Bakersfield. They're like, they were calling me, going, there's nobody here.
Well, and I didn't see the ad until like the day before, so it just didn't get advertised enough, or I don't know what happened, but there
These
was
things
nobody
happen. I've gone to events where they said this is going to be thousands of people, and it was so quiet. It was like, well, I guess pull up a chair, you can talk. And then I've gone to things where I went, this is in the middle of damn nowhere, and nobody coming to this. And I was
there.
mobbed, and you don't know. It's the little tiny, yeah. So you're now you're living near Bakersfield, though, aren't you? You're like
I
there.
am. Yeah, it took us about 15 minutes to drive over. Um, and when I got there, I walked in and there's nobody. I didn't know what I was gonna say. How do you come and introduce yourself to Dean Butler? You know, So there was a lot of panicking, and finally he looks up at me, and I didn't know what to say. So I had this calendar that he signed at a wrap party. And I thought that if I handed it to him, he would be like, "Oh, this is a 40-year-old calendar. Like, how do you have this?"
Mm.
Didn't. He's like, "Well, if I already signed it, why would you
But
want me to sign it
why
again?"
are you here?
I'm like, "I don't know." So I just said, "That's me in the picture." And he slowly was like figuring it out. Mind you, he'd already met the other uh, Rose twins. So he was very confused that there was more.
Right, because they came to a party, God, like over 10 years ago, it was around the 40th, at the racetrack. And we were like, oh, God, we got the baby Rose. And the baby, it was a bunch of people we hadn't seen, the baby Grace twins and the baby Rose twins
Oh,
both showed up. So we were like, oh, well, there we are. So it's like, surprise, there's more.
there was more.
Now he was kind of freaked out. What was he was telling me? It was like, this woman walks up to my table and says she's my daughter.
I can only imagine what was going through his head when I was trying to, because I don't think I was terrified. I couldn't breathe. It was a million degrees in there. And, and I'm trying to explain myself. Uh, so without him thinking I'm a crazy person, which I think he might have thought that anyway, because he came away with thinking I had just said I was his daughter. And so he was a little traumatized from that
He's sitting there doing the math, going,
one. He's like,
must
no.
be that one. No, 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 no. So it had to have been very, very weird. Yeah. Like, how do you explain? You haven't seen this person since you were a baby. You hadn't really talked to them even like in childhood. It's like, hi. Uh,
I crack up because he didn't notice that the kids that were in the movies were totally different babies. I mean, we were on the show for a year and a half. I think if Melissa held me more, she probably would have been more familiar that it was a different child.
actors, hand them a baby, tell them this is your baby, this is my baby, and
Oh,
here, this one's your baby, and this one's my baby too. Yeah, they don't think about. No, I'm like they're paying any attention. It's like the whole El Manzo El Monzo thing. Nobody bothered to think about how is his name actually pronounced. So it's like, yeah, is this your baby? This is my. Yeah, they didn't really. They probably went. Oh, I guess the kids they brought them back. They're bigger now. Not clue in that it was like a different baby.
mm-hmm.
Terrible. So once he calmed down and you like stopped panicking and could speak, what was that? You started meeting that there were other cast members there.
There was. I met Olin that night, that
Olin,
afternoon.
friend
And he
Olin.
comes up, and I had a book with me that had my work permits and the calendar and pictures and everything, just in case they didn't believe what I
In
was
case
saying.
we're crazy, because there are people who are a little out there and have decided Little House on the Prairie is the answer to everything, to all of their problems.
Yeah.
And people do show up and go, oh yeah, 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 you totally know me, man.
So
And you
Olin
do.
looked at my folder, and he's examining everything, and he looks up at me, and he's just like, "Come with me," and he trots
Come with
away.
me.
And I'm like, "I don't know who this person is. Where are we going? What are we doing?" And he took me and introduced me to every single person that was there that day. And so I left there thinking that I at least had closure, like, hey, I got to say my hellos and all of that, and it turned into I haven't left.
You
uh,
can't get rid of us once it starts. And Olan is Orlando de Paz, or Olan as we call him. He's this artist. He paints theater sets, paints the floors and the sets and creates theater backdrops for a living. He does whole theater sets. And he has jumped into this whole Little House thing, so that for 50th he's creating all of these fabulous flats and sets and recreations and artwork. And he's been going to all of our events because he's like, oh, do you need a backdrop of a Little House? Would you like a backdrop of the Mercantile? Oh look, I can do paintings of everyone who's ever in the show passed away and put them up on. So it's like our mad artist Olan is now on board for everything and has become the major part of this whole thing. It's all very strange. So how many events have we dragged you to now? How many places have we dragged you to?
I lost track. Um, 6 or 7.
Yeah,
It's been a few. It's
we
a
were
busy
just
year.
we just did Texas, and let's see, you were there for Kentucky. That was the kook. It was Kentucky, the murder mystery thing, I think. Right. We did Texas, Oklahoma.
Oklahoma.
Oklahoma was bananas.
Yeah.
That was huge. Oklahoma, and we did Texas, and we've done Kentucky, and yeah, it's. And didn't you do like one I didn't even go to?
I did I know I Mountain Home, Mountain
No,
Home,
Arkansas.
Arkansas.
You went to, I did not go to Arkansas. You got to go to Arkansas without me.
Thought there was one other one, but I maybe not.
It's a lot, but yeah, you now become a regular. And we have lots of people who say, okay, I want to get in on this action. It's like an audition. It's like the first one. It's like, well, they're coming to this one. Well, what are they like? What's she like? I don't know. Well, we'll see. Is she fun? I think so. I don't know. Well, let's see. We'll see how the weekend goes. I swear, this is what we're like doing in the car.
This is
And
what
then
you do.
you'll get there. And you're a riot, and you're fun, and you're real. And then I think probably it was with that one where we had to like rent all these cars and we had to drive across the state to get to this thing, and you're like, I'll drive. I went, what? And you jumped in it because what, it was like a huge SUV, and you're like, got it. And we all piled in and we're like, dibs on the car with Jennifer, gotta go. And it was amazing. You offered to drive. She was like, okay, she's driving, she drives the car, that's 50 points. And that was it. You were in. We decided we liked you, that you were really nice and you were funny. So we said we're keeping you. And you've just been a part of our little gang since. It's worked quite well, I think.
Thank you. I'm so glad. I'm so happy. I never in a million years thought that this is where I would be now.
And people like it. Like you said, okay, did you have lines? No, he's a baby. But people do love that. It's like seeing, it's like, and some of the fans, it's Pokemon Collect All 12, where they want, I got Baby Rose. They want to
Yeah.
see the family together. They want to see all of these people, even people who are babies. And you have stuff. I mean, you have pictures. Now, here's the weird thing. For those of you, if anyone out there has not been to one of these crazy things that we go to, it's wild. So we have the cast members, and there's like breakfasts and dinners and events and whatnot. But at our autograph tables, we have stuff. The person who started the stuff, it's not me, it's not me. The person who started the stuff, Charlotte Stewart, Miss Beadle, because she can really sew. She used to make all her own clothes. She makes beetle bags, these gorgeous bags with pictures on them from the show, and these cloth bags, and you could put a bowling ball in those things. The straps will not come off. They're amazing. So she's had all this like merch. So I'm like, I got things. Bonnets and t-shirt things. So now everyone has to have stuff on their table next to their 8x10. They got to have a book. They got to have a thing. You've been making stuff. You don't have a book yet. Are you doing a book?
I'm doing a book.
Yes.
I'm
Send that
doing
book. But you have stuff. You have the best stuff on your table. I
a
love all your stuff. Tell us about this thing. You like making things.
um I started it changes as we go, what people like. It started with like sun catchers to hang in your window or your garden.
Yeah.
Um, and now the one thing that people just love is the Job's Tears necklace that I made. It's a
Yes.
recreation of Caroline's necklace that young Charles made for her. It was the very first gift that he ever gave to her. And it's really more for the super fans because it was only mentioned in one episode. And if you missed that one, then you have no idea what it is.
You'd have
Um,
to be super hardcore fan to go, oh yeah, the
and
necklace
they are
from the.
out there. They see it. They know exactly what it is. They know the story. And it kind of has evolved. Some people don't like necklaces. They like bracelets. They like earrings. So now it's a full line.
Oh my
And
God.
that is what I sell the most of. That's what everybody wants a piece of. But it's tricky because it's a seed. Somebody
Really?
has to grow it. And I have bought all of them in the United States. I am now getting them from Africa. And
Seriously.
I'm afraid I'm going to run out because I don't know where to get them. One person sent me their living seeds, so I'm going to try and grow them.
You're going to
And
start growing your own seeds for the
well,
necklaces. This
it
product
got
doesn't
very
really.
expensive to order them from Africa.
And
They can be
comes,
almost a
is it
dollar a piece.
sustainable? Are you ordering them from a place that does decent business? Are they making children pick them up?
Am
Like,
I going to get
yeah,
them? I don't know. I don't know, but
right.
they are they're a little hard to find. I'm hoping it's seasonal so that in the spring they show back up again. But I don't
Okay,
know.
that is crazy. I did not know that. So now you're contemplating actually starting your own Job's Tear Seed farm.
I I talked to a fan who was from like Indonesia, and he says it grows there wild. They like water. I have a koi pond in my backyard, so I was like, I could totally grow them in the pond. It would be no big deal. Um, I have no idea how well they grow or how many seeds you get from a plant, but we will. It's worth
It's
experiment.
hot in California, so heat-wise, climate-wise, but it tends to be so dry and out in Bakersfield. But if you've got a koi pond,
We're gonna see. Maybe it'll work.
your little are growing stuff to make stuff. Did you think 2 years ago?
Never
Yeah.
in a
Oh,
million years.
I'm going to be planting seeds in the koi pond so I can keep making
No,
necklaces.
no, never in a million years.
Yeah, the things that start happening, but your stuff is great. So now, oh, you're working on a book. I'm so happy. I really like it when everybody writes a book. Dean Butler's book is coming out. I'm like hugely
Yes.
excited. Wrote a foreword for it and everything. What's your book?
Do you want to know the title?
Of course you want to. I'm dying. Yes.
It's called More Than Just the Prairie, and it walks through everything. My little bit on Little House, but my whole life after. It talks about Sarah, my twin, who also played Rose, and she passed away when we were 9. So
When you're
it's going.
9.
We were
That's
9.
that's really that had to have been really hard. I mean, 9?
It was a weird experience. Because I had the ADD, I was very able to like compartmentalize things and just put it away.
Mm-hmm,
And it
mm-hmm.
was years before it finally came out. All I noticed was everybody was coming to check on me, and instead of having to share the attention with my sister, it was all about me. And so for years, that's just how I dealt with it. I didn't delve into it, but by the time I was 13 or 14, it started to become something I had to deal with.
Think.
And then it goes through just becoming an adult and growing up and moving out, and then my mom being diagnosed with cancer
Mm.
and dying within 3 months of that diagnosis.
Oof.
And then
And
my
how old are you when your mom died?
this was about 8 years ago, so I don't even know. I can't do that math. I was in my 30s, but
Still
too
that no. That's
young.
yeah, that's too young. Yeah, yeah. No, it's never good. That's okay. So this is good. This is a good book.
I
I'm
think
in.
it's a good book.
All right. Well, I mean, I'm up for reading sample chapters. You can sling
Oh,
stuff my way. Hell yeah. I'm
absolutely.
totally into it. I'm thrilled. This is great. And this is the thing. I mean, one of the things I know, I think I asked you when we first met, and you were telling me you were a heavy equipment operator, and I said, is that weird? Because one would think that's a heavily male dominated profession traditionally. Are there a lot of female heavy equipment operators? And is it difficult to deal with that?
Um, there are not a lot of females, but I have been on jobs where all of a sudden we all pooled in one job, and we built a bridge, and it was an almost all female crew.
Wow.
So it does happen. It doesn't happen very often. Sometimes I am the only female, and for the most part, it's not a hard environment to work in. These days, there's a lot of men act a little bit better nowadays. They're required to.
There's
Uh,
rules. They can't fool or they can't be too horrible. It's at work. It's like, no, you can't do that at work. Can't do that at work, dude. Yeah.
my biggest thing was always like, you don't act like that in the grocery store. Why would you act like that here? Like, I don't understand that. Um, but it's strange because the men they're coached on things that they need to say or not say and how to do things, so it does get awkward. There's a big thing they'll do in meetings. They forget, and I grew up in the 80s. When you said hey guys, it meant everybody.
I've
um
always assumed it meant everybody. Yeah. Yeah.
yeah,
It's generic.
but when you're in a meeting and you're the only girl standing there and they're like, hey, okay guys, oh, and ladies, and you're the only one, you're kind of put on blast right there, and it's so much more awkward than if we had just glazed right past that.
Right. They have to learn to say like, hello team, or, they have to
Yeah,
come because it's like, oh, don't say guys,
it's
don't girl.
so awkward and so unnatural that now that's all I'm thinking about, and I'm not even listening to what you're talking about anymore. Um, but besides that, once everybody gets used to you and everybody, you know, gets comfortable, it becomes a non-issue.
Well, yeah, as you know, Bob, my husband Bob works in a construction company, and he said, yeah, he said it's pretty good because generally on most construction sites in the place where he works, everyone is so massively focused on getting the job done
Yeah.
that there's a lot less of the issues, sexual issues, racial issues that you may see in other workplaces. That
Yes.
it's like that does go in other workplaces, but construction, like, oh, yeah, we're busy.
Yeah.
So they're not time to harass people. They're
Yeah.
just like, yeah,
I've met a few grumpy old men, but literally I can count them on one hand.
good, good.
Um, and they generally go away. I don't know, they get let go, they find another job, they retire. But it's never been a problem that I had to find a way to deal with. They just figured themselves out and went away.
Good. And I think I imagine if they're uptight after 2 days, they go, she's here, she's working, she's doing the thing.
Yeah.
What? She's
Um,
driving a bulldozer. Shut up. But
leave me alone. No,
so
it goes
like I said, interesting book going from, from Baby Rose to bulldozers. I don't know. That could be the subtitle. I try to sell it already. Um, So now, of course, we're upon the eve practically of the 50th anniversary of
yeah.
the whole thing, Little House of Prairie. And everybody is coming out of the woodwork and coming on board. And I think we're going to have the biggest cast turnout really in Simi Valley. There's some people going to Walnut Grove in July, and there's like, I'm booked through November. There's that many
Yeah.
events.
Yes.
And there's like 8 people going here and 10 people going there and 20 going here. But everybody's converging on Simi Valley in March because it's where we film the show. It's where we film the show, and a lot of us are still in California, so just mosey on over. But
Yeah.
we shot that, and explained to people we were at Paramount Studios and then at MGM, but all that stuff outdoors, that whole town, Simi Valley, Big Sky, and we've actually done it. We've procured Big Sky Ranch, and I say we because I actually there's a whole committee with a bunch of the actors on it. Like we're kind of doing this thing with Simi and all these people. So we have a center and then we have the thing. And you and your husband are like, well, do you need dirt cleared? What's happening here? Do you need equipment? And you and your husband have like jumped up to do massive amounts of stuff in this whole CME event.
We did. And then, insurance comes in and
My hands. Mm-hmm.
spoils the party for everybody. Uh, yeah. Well, there's a few complications because we're union. We can't work for non-union companies.
Right. So you
We
can't
can
physically.
volunteer all day long, but we cannot get paid. And
Right.
that created other problems. So at this point, most of that's all going to be handled by Rob and the ranch. Um,
Wow. So they got their work cut out for them.
yeah, I don't know. We kind of just sort of step back from that, and they're gonna handle it. But I did see that they took the bank up there and got it installed.
The bank is up there and people are going, the bank. Yes. Owen, we're talking about created this thing. It's on like a big metal flat back thing, and it's a painting, but it's like 3D when you look at it. It's just, and he has painted the bank from Little House and mounted it. It's life size, and they have popped this thing up in the middle of Big Sky Ranch on the grounds out there.
It is happening. It's going up.
Yeah, obviously I'm waiting for the mercantile. I'm waiting. I don't know how the heck they're going to the hotel because the hotel was huge. I mean, when we built it, it was totally fake. There's nothing upstairs,
Right.
like there was no upstairs in the mercantile. It was all empty, but it was an enormous 2-story building. I had to go build a flat of that. I am hoping there's not strong winds. I mean, they're going to have to really chunk that into the side of the hill or something.
Yeah, I don't know. I know Todd and Olin are the ones heading up that feat. Um, but so fingers crossed that there isn't a storm that comes through and it should be all right. It's California. We don't usually get storms.
Yeah, it's not
Last
bad.
year, ignore last year. That was weird.
It gets windy in the fall, like October. Like up here in Tug, it's like insanely windy in October. But March, not so much. So it should be, comes in like a lion, goes out like a lamb. What I don't know. We're towards the end. But you have been volunteering, of course, with all of our committees and our meetings and our whatnot on CME. So you've been front row seats for the whole planning of the 50th anniversary in CME.
For the most part, At this point, Simi's become very heavily involved, so a lot of the decision making and ideas are going through them now. Um, our meetings are kind of just little tidbits. We are uh, restoring Michael Landon's little go-kart.
I
That's
saw this. Now this is crazy. So we had this thing at Christmas on the show where, okay, we buy each other normal gifts. I got everybody cheese for some reason. I still get people cheese at Christmas. I know it's very strange. I got an obsession with cheese. But even when I was like 12, like, let's go to, it was Bristol Farms now, Charlie Gourmet. Get everybody cheese. And we'd buy each other regular presents, and we get a present that was like from NBC and Michael. We'd all chip in and get this one huge, insane thing for Michael. And it was always, we got him like an 1880 safe once. We got him like all these crazy things. And we got him this, well, like a golf cart type thing that you drive around the set, but all done up like a little Surrey, like it was Little House of the Prairie. It was the cutest thing. And there's all these pictures like him and Victor thing. And you guys, they found it all in the gang, everything, and somehow he'd given it to someone, and their son still
it
like
was.
had
I think it was his landscaper's son ended up with.
landscaper. It's yeah, well, because it's been 8 million years. It's like we thought, oh, where would this thing even be? No, the guy had it. Guy had it.
Yeah, and it had been sitting in his garage for 30 years.
Oh dear.
He took it out for a spin, and the brakes went out. And I think he sailed right through a stop sign and he parked it and never touched it again.
Oh no. Oh dear. That's yeah, because it sits. It's like you don't start your car in the driveway. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
So Wendy is constructing a new top, canvas top for it.
Because
And
that's the colors.
yeah, because it just was falling apart. It literally had
That would
holes.
not last the time. Yeah.
No. So we're getting that fixed, and then me and my husband are getting the whole thing cleaned up, and we got new tires for it. So we're hoping to bring that
And I
to.
remember we were talking about the engine. It was apparently going, this is a normal engine that's
It
in a
is.
lot. You can
It's
go to
a
the
lawnmower.
store. It's a
It's like
lawnmower engine.
a lawnmower engine. So we're like, even at worst case scenario, we have to buy a new one. If we can't get it working, it's a
But you can
not
go to the store and buy a new one. Thank
literally go.
heavens. It's not, yeah.
My husband can tell you the name of it. It's apparently a popular lawnmower.
I mentioned it to my husband. He's like, oh, one of you can go
Yeah,
down and get one of those. Yeah.
yeah. So we will. That's Olin. Olin got that. That is a street legal car. There's a registration.
It's
So
not even like a golf cart because it's an engine, lawnmower engine, but it's
yeah,
an engine, unlike the electric golf car. And it's so weird because who finds it? Olin has been finding these mysterious things, and Rachel and Danny too. Rachel, who was baby
yeah.
Carrie. It's all the babies, baby Grace, baby Rose, baby Carrie. My head is been, but baby Carrie, Rachel, and her husband Danny. Danny, who grew up in Sydney. So they're like, oh, and there's this wagon. So everybody's like finding all this stuff. I want someone to find my wig. I was talking about this
Oh,
the other day. Where is my wig? They
it might
put it
make
on
you happy.
Nancy, and somebody, I think with the hairdressers, one of the hairdressers' family, like Larry or Gladys, one of the
Oh,
hair probably is the most likely. So Larry Germain's grandchild has this. I don't
he
know.
probably was like, "This is trash."
Yeah, what is this? Ew, ew. And this looks uncomfortable. What is this big metal cup? So
Yeah.
but we're finding all this crazy stuff, and you guys are fixing it up. Now, this thing, it'll be drivable. I mean, what are we gonna do? I guess we'll drive. We can't like let strangers drive it at the thing.
No, I think it's gonna be. I think it's gonna be on display with all the other memorabilia. But who knows? Maybe Olin will take it out for a spin outside and
Oh, we'll drive it
get
in
people.
circles around the place to show it off. Because we have all the pictures from the party where we presented it to him. There's a picture of him getting with a bow on the thing. Yeah, the
Oh,
whole thing. There's pictures from the party when he got it. So yeah, that is so weird. That's like things I never thought I would see again. I'm like, it's the cart.
things I never thought would be in my garage.
And it's in your garage
It's in my garage.
along
I call.
along with your farm to grow Job's tear seeds.
I don't know what's going on here.
So now that you've gotten like pulled into this whole insanity, how is it? This is the question I always get asked: is why after 50 years is this television show? so popular. Yes, it's a good show, but there were shows that were huge hits in the 70s that were like almost bigger than us then, and they're like, crickets. And yet, Little House, why? Why are we so darn popular?
It blows my mind when I see the lines at these events of people who are perfectly happy to stand and wait 3 hours.
Oh yeah, it was just this one in Texas. I looked, I went, I'm trying to see the end. I looked and it was like all the way down the street and it was going around the corner.
Yeah, no, I don't know that I would do that for any show.
I don't know that I
I don't know,
I
but
stand in
you
line to be
see,
I don't
I don't know. But you see these little kids, um, to babies, and I think they are just being brought up watching it, and to a kid who maybe hasn't started going to school yet, hasn't seen the outside world and been influenced by it, they are drawn to it just like the kids in the 80s were drawn to watching. Um, and they just grew up with it and they are still in love with the show. But it blows my mind that 50 years later people still come in droves.
and we're seeing all ages. There's people who are like my age or older. I mean, there's people older than me who were like grown ups in the 70s watching with their kids. And then there's people my age were kids. And
Right.
then there's the next one down. Well, I watched it after school when I was little in reruns in the 80s and 90s. And then we have the tiny, adorable children in the bonnets who come with
Oh
little
my
tiny children
Yeah.
with outfits.
So I don't think it's going anywhere anytime soon.
We're on our seventh generation of viewers. It's 140 countries. Have you been to any other countries where they watch it yet?
I have not. Uh, I have a large following from Italy, and I think it's my last name because it's
Hello.
Donati. They all think
Are you actually Italian?
I am not. My husband is
Okay.
though. But they see the name and they have just latched on. Like that is their favorite.
She is one of us. She is a native daughter
Yeah.
and literally.
There was an argument today on Facebook about no, 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 it's her husband. Her husband is Italian.
But it's yeah, it blows my mind. So okay, so now you've had the Italians, and we do get people even in the U.S. who come to the shows who are coming from other countries, and it just absolutely blows my mind every time how they're relating to it.
Yeah. Enough to come, like Danielle, who will come. She's come twice now.
So coming from France, Danielle, who comes in from France, and she sees me when I'm in France doing events and shows over there, and then I'm like, so what? No, I got to go see everybody else. So she gets on a plane, she books a hotel, she buys plane tickets,
Oh
comes
my
all the way
God.
over.
That is so incredible.
And I just wonder, it's the emotional, there's some kind of emotional connection that is somehow drawing people in all these years later. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. Because I have my favorite shows and I think I would go once, meet everyone and be satisfied. But we have people who follow to every show. Um, I've seen some of these fans at five different shows. Some have been at every single one that I go to.
Yeah. And they'll say, I drove 17 hours to get
Oh
here. I
my,
came days. Yes.
no problem.
Yeah. I don't know. I don't know. I'm trying to think of a TV show I would do that for.
I don't know. I don't
So
think I
I
would.
don't know. Are we just terrible people, or I mean, this show must be really good because they're schlepping cross country.
They're coming to see you and Dean.
Yeah, no, that's what I said. No, and then Charlotte. Oh, Charlotte with her stuff. Oh,
Oh,
so okay. So see me. This is going to be in March, which is like coming. This is really soon. I keep thinking, yeah, it's March.
no,
It's
it's
almost
coming.
January. I have an event in January. I've got events. I got to go to
Ooh.
France in February. I'm in St. Louis, and I got to go to France, and then I got to get back from France in time to get over to see me. It's soon.
Yeah, the end of March, March 22nd,
The weekend of the 23rd. Yeah, so 22nd,
23rd.
23rd, 24th, that whole weekend
Yeah.
in Simi. So, how many people do you think are going to come to this?
I don't know, because this event has the tour of Big Sky, so it's not something that's open to the public all the time. Um, no other event has that. I don't know what is going to happen. But they have a huge
Yeah.
place.
It's huge, huge. And the community center thing where you have the autographs is gigantic. Lots of
Yeah,
parking, folks. Um, and that's the thing too. People, if they're going to schlep all the way to California, which you will, you got Disneyland. You could say, well, we'll make a thing of it. We got to go
right.
all the way over there, get the, pile everybody in the car. Well, let's go to Disneyland and go to the thing and go see the Prairie. So, people may do it. They may just say, well, that's it. This is spring break. What, we're
Yeah,
schlepping.
yeah. I don't know. I'm very curious to see just how big this is going to get.
And we have good advertising. We're like everywhere. So
Yes,
I'm hoping. But yeah, I'm good all 3 days. Now I know there's some people because they got to come in from places to go, well, I don't know if I can do all 3 days. I'll do Saturday. And so I told people this afternoon, I'm just gonna bring a sleeping bag on Thursday night and just like move in.
right. Well,
I'll
they said
just
there'd
be there.
be well, I don't even know if we're getting rooms down there or people have talked about bringing the honey wagons and
Well, do we have a little camper? We'll definitely we have our own bathrooms. I remember that was the first thing I scoped. Do we have our own bathroom? Yes, you have your own bathroom. Oh,
do.
okay.
We
That's
do.
important when you're signing all day. Um, and we don't live far really to Hunga, but it is also almost tempting to say, well, why can't we get a room like up the street so we just go like crash and take breaks?
I don't know. To come, news to come.
And Bakersfield, that's kind of far. You got to schlep from Bakersfield, so maybe get a room.
Yeah, that one I'm not. Yeah, we haven't really talked about accommodations just yet, so I don't know.
We may have to get them because I know that their fans have already talked about have already booked rooms. They are
There,
already booking hotels in
yes,
CD and like Moore Park and Chatsworth and that whole area. It's
yeah,
already happening,
yeah. So we
which
we need to get on that.
scares me already. I'm terrified. It's to be like
We're all going to be
millions of
sleeping
people.
on Pam's couch.
Right? Well, let's all go to Pam's house. Oh, great. We're picking on our poor Pam Roylance, our poor friend. Olin has a spare room. Pam's got, she got a big place. I don't know. It's like,
No.
maybe. Um, who's
Just
actually all
invite
fresh.
herself.
Oh no, now Bob and I could clean up the spare room. We have our, the guest room. Maybe we're taking somebody. It could be you guys. I don't know. We'll see. So yeah, this could turn into a giant Little House in the Prairie slumber party in
It
March. We could
might.
all wind up sleeping in each other's house. This could be great. Um, where do people find you? Where because you're on everything. You're on Facebook. You're on Instagram. Where do we look for you if we want to see? What is it
Yeah.
you call your Baby Rose grown up or what's your title on there?
It's
Baby Rose real life.
so the Instagram is Jennifer Donati as Baby Rose, and then the Facebook is Baby Rose Jennifer Donati, and TikTok I think is just Jennifer Donati.
Yeah, I think you are. It's like TikTok. You haven't done a lot yet on TikTok. I know
Not
TikTok.
not too much.
TikTok is where you go on TikTok. You have like no followers, no followers. You have like 50 followers, and then you wake up and you have 100,000 followers, and it's just no rhyme or like what just that. Yeah, it goes like
If
that.
you're Allison,
We'll get you on there. Okay, so your Instagram. When will you have this book finished? I know people always ask me that when I'm writing things, and I'm like,
um,
oh,
the goal is to have it finished for Simi Valley. Um, if that actually is what happens, that'd be fantastic.
that'd be
Um,
great.
but there's timelines that I have to work with other people's timelines and fit
Right,
in.
right.
Um, so right now we're trying to do the typesetting and finding the right person to do that. And then they want to take sometimes a couple months to do that. So um, I've also started looking into just how complicated it is to do myself. And I'm realizing I might need to watch some videos on how to
It's
do
really
that.
complicated. Yeah, because there's getting a publisher, then getting a small publisher, or self-publishing Amazon, or totally doing it yourself. And the thing is, now in 2023, all of those are actually viable possibilities. 40 years ago, so you can't self-publish. Now they're like, oh yeah, no, there's like hit books
Absolutely.
that
You got
self-publish.
money? Then yeah.
Yeah, you can do anything you want now. But
Yeah.
I think you might wind up getting picked up by a publisher afterwards because I don't know. I'm thinking it's a good story.
Does that happen? I didn't even know you could do
It's like being an indie band and then like a record label.
that.
Things
Nice.
can happen.
Very.
But I think it's a good story. And I was a New York Times bestseller, so I think it's a good story. So there
That's
you are.
uh-huh. Thank you, Allison.
All right. I'm so glad that you're in our whole like wacky prairie traveling circus family.
Me too. It has been an interest. It hasn't even been a year, Allison. But
Has
it's
it
been
not been a year? Because we just did so many back to back. That's why I feel
yeah,
like yeah,
since April
I get because I've just been in a car with you for like months at a
for months
time,
on end.
basically.
Yeah.
And then we all slept in that house where we made pie. Like,
Oh,
did I dream that?
I
What was
feel
that?
like we should do that again. That
We need
was
to
fun.
do the pie thing. The pie thing was very good. And you are a good cook, right? You do cook. You're one of the cast members who cooks.
I do cook.
Yes,
Yes, I do.
you do cook. Okay, good, good, good. Because yeah, what did you make?
I would. Oh, I made a blueberry pie.
You made the blueberry. You made the blueberry. Okay, yeah. Because yeah,
It was
we have some cast members who cook. Dean doesn't really cook. Yeah, Wendy had to help him with the pie. And
yeah,
then, of course, it sold at charity auction for like $2,600 because he's Dean. So, you know,
because there was a kiss. They didn't care about that pie.
a woman who bought the pie. So, of course, it was. All right. Well, I'm looking forward to our next event and Simi Valley. And this is just going to be bananas. This next year is going to be bananas. I can't wait. Send me sample chapters. I'm game. I'll read your stuff. What the heck? I'm into it. And everybody go to Facebook, find her on Facebook, and pump up her Instagram followers. She needs a few more over there. And this is going to be great. And I hope you find a way to make those necklaces. I will laugh if you wind up growing the things in the koi
That would
pod.
be something else.
That's a thing where the TV crew needs to come out. And now she grows seeds in her koi pond. That would be weird enough that the
Oh my
crews can
god.
come out.
Oh my god. I think we need a
All
new
right.
crew to follow us on the road.
All right. To the 50th.
Yes. We will
The
see you then.
50th. Thank you. Thank you for coming. And I'll see you soon at the next thing.
Yes,
Uh-huh.
absolutely. Thank you,
All right.
Allison.
Thank you. Okay. Bye.
Bye.